Hello. I'm here at my work table with my figurines. They're coming closer to their completion. I haven't been working every day on my stuff because of different other things that I had to do, but they are coming along. Hello, I'm Queen Elizabeth. Yes. Okay. Mwah. So, and I got a rock here. This is my heart-shaped rock, sort of heart-shaped. It's beautiful. I found this at the beach with the Papa Dog together, and so I call this the Papa Dog rock. This is absolutely gorgeous. Very healing. The colors come out well in the video. It's sort of like a citrine in there, which is quite amazing. Citrine and calcite and iron and shungite and I know, I'm guessing, and ocean jade. So this is basically an ocean jade. Very gorgeous is this. This is ocean art. Absolutely lovely. Fantastic. Feels really good in the hand. And I wanted to make a video about, I can move this over a little bit so I can put my elbow on here. I wanted to talk about people the way they think about someone they adore or someone they look up to, and this worshiping and this, it doesn't get out of my mind because I see it all the time on the internet. It's like that is the human activity. This is the subject of their entertainment. It is, they breathe it, they live it. They're obsessed with certain people that happen to be famous, that happen to be known, that happen to be propagated also by the corporate agenda, because obviously there are a lot of people that are feeding into the corporate agenda and that are propagating certain things that, you know, like the medical industry, the plastic surgeons. They love those people because they make people feel inadequate and ugly and insignificant. So they go to the plastic surgeon and they go, I want to look like whatever, you know. They go like, I want to look like her, I want to look like her. And then this person or that person also had tried to look like someone else before they went into the surgeon. And then everyone starts copying the copies of the copies of the copies, sort of, you know. No one is like really authentically themselves. There aren't very many authentic breasts out there, you know, whatever size, you know. And so what I'm trying to say to people is like, if you don't have any breasts, there are some women that have no breasts, that don't even have a cup. They have no breasts. There are women without any breasts. There are women out there that are totally flat-chested. My message to those women is, I know it's hard, I know it's not easy. I'm not saying it is very easy. But the only choice, the only chance you have in your life is you go into meditation and you drop all coveting and strife and struggle and wanting, and even we even have entire like Second Life cartoons. I saw one, I watched one, was very well done. Those 3D boob inflation animations, I think they are so beautifully done. The problem with them is they propagate. The ones that where they envision getting their breasts to grow and then that happens, like with the magic wand and all of that kind of stuff, that's very nice because, yeah, there's a lot in dreaming. You can dream, right? Dream and dream. And so maybe that also increases that hormonal activity, and it does. I don't know. It's not going to blow up the breasts to watermelon size like in those cartoons, but it does have a bit of an effect. So I read about these kind of things. So you can do all kinds of natural things to make your breast hormones become active and start to feed these milk glands and so on. So, but what I really want, the message that I really want to give to the world is give up the struggle. And so this message is not only for flat-chested women, it's not only for people with BDD or body dysmorphic disorder, where they feel ugly, or where always feel fat, or they always feel too thin. Those exist too, they're in a minority. Or that they always think there is something totally imperfect that they need to fix. So my message to all of them is give up the struggle. But it's not just those people, it's also those people that feel like they have to achieve incredible achievements of intellectual achievements, intellectual heights of writing 30 books that are all bestsellers, or becoming some kind of becoming an ambassador, or becoming this, or becoming famous, or becoming really rich, or having like their gyms all over the planet. It's endless, that kind of stuff. This constant striving. And so I want to explain to you that there's a difference between this relentless grinding struggle and a natural flow of becoming, of unfolding. I'm not even going to call it becoming, because as Jiddu Krishnamurti also pointed out, the becoming, it's always connected to this mindset of strife and struggle. So we gotta give up that becoming struggle. The becoming, like, I need to, like, I was in that mind state too many times. I couldn't talk about it if I hadn't experienced it also. Like when I went to university in Berlin and Landau, Germany, and it was so difficult, statistics, because I had depression, and math. It's always been a tricky thing. It's always been difficult. I mean, if I really get into it, and if I don't have depression, then if I really get into it, then I can learn it, I can understand it, and I can do it. But the more depressed I got during the course, the worse got my statistics exam results. It started out with, I don't I think like it started out with like a B minus, and then it slowly, gradually dwindled with each exam. Okay. And so those were the prerequisites for the four diploma, which is about equivalent to bachelor's degree, a little bit higher. So I really wanted to do the master's in psychology. It's like, why? Why did I want this? Okay, so I didn't ask that question very much. It felt like in the back of my head, it felt a little bit like, why do I want this? But it wasn't really conscious. It's through Jiddu Krishnamurti's talks with David Bohm and other people that which I listen to every single day and night. Sometimes I just let it stream by itself and I do other things, but I listen to it when I do my artwork or do sewing. And I also listen to it while I'm in the chat or while I'm writing something. So I have it running almost all the time. And that has a profound effect on my psychological development and healing. Healing is also learning. Learning is healing. This is also something that I started to realize. Jiddu never mentioned that. That's something that I realized, that real learning is also real healing. And he talked about how important it is for little children when they go to school. In India, they used to have these situations where in the smaller communities where they didn't have actual school buildings, where a parent would say, come bring your children into me, I will teach them. And or yeah, someone in the community will say, yeah, I have read this or that, and I will teach your children, so that we can at least, so I can share a little bit of that knowledge, so that your children might have a chance of, moving forward economically. So a real good parent and parental type of teacher, when they come to those homes, those teachers, those acting type of teachers, if I could call it that way, not even professional, not even academics, but some of them are, but sort of like a declared, self-declared acting type of teacher that wants to help. They will have about, I don't know, they had about 10 students at the time, and they view every one of these kids like their own. They would come there during the day, the kids, they would feed them, they take a nap, they take good care of them, they help them emotionally, they make them feel loved, and they teach them stuff. That's real teaching, because that's also real healing. You see them like their own. And I was very impressed when Jiddu talked about this, how important that is. They see them like their own. You are my protege. I'm here for you. I'm gonna look after you. I make sure that you don't get onto the wrong track. So a kind, caring, really deeply caring parental type of figure like that is not gonna say, this is my biological child and my love ends there and I'm not gonna love the other or something. No, you love this, your biological child, and you also love the other equally much. You love all beings equally much. I can't say I love this tree more than the other trees. I love every tree equally much. And that's real love. And the child feels this, and a child like this wants to learn from a person like this. A child is naturally drawn to a person that gives that kind of love. But we live in a society where almost everyone is extremely neurotic. So I think this type of humbleness from an acting type of parent teacher, teacher parent, that kind of humbleness in rural areas in India, he's from South India, that kind of humbleness actually comes, but also comes from, of course, from a lot from Hinduism and Buddhism. You know, if it is really understood, if it's not hijacked and run off with in a religious way. So if it's really understood, then it's not religion, then it is vipassana, it's meditation, it's anapana, it's yoga, it's a it's a lifestyle, of it's a healthy lifestyle of really becoming mindful and going within oneself, within one's own mind, humble down, step down from the pedestals, from the striving, the constant me, I need to, they don't even, they a lot of those people, they can barely function, they can barely survive, they are very, very, very reduced to certain activities out in rice fields or rural areas where their everyday activity dependent on whether they get food to eat. So they never even got to these so-called luxuries, the neurotic luxuries that literally spoil people mentally, where they, like in the Western world, where people have that much time on their hands that the ego has a big playing field, so when their activities are so regimentedly reduced to farming and growing plants and getting food on their plates, that naturally humbles them down. So it's like the life situation that itself humbles them down. So that's why Judas said in the past, India was a lot more pure-minded. And I think it's because of that. So it's then later on that it has become so extremely industrialized and infused also with Western type of activities and neurotic mind states and influences from the capitalist countries, Western countries, particularly the United States, as being like a world influencer through Hollywood, through that show business, that has been propagated around the whole globe. Everyone knew around the world, everyone knew who John Lennon is, or some people knew the Beatles more than they knew about certain religious figures or something. So, or they knew Elizabeth Taylor before they knew about, I don't know, before they knew about someone who, like the lady who discovered nuclear energy, for example. So she was pretty much put on the back burner deliberately actually, because the male world didn't feel comfortable having this lady there from Germany who discovered nuclear fusion. So a woman, uh, it's immediately a threat to the ego. So all of these elements are constantly at play. So what I'm trying to bring across in my videos is that all the suffering, that is going on in people's minds, it's all based on this need to make something out of oneself. It's like, I need to make something out. That's complete BS. Yeah, it's bullshit. You don't need to make anything out of yourself. What if you don't make anything out of yourself? What if you just live a peaceful, loving life? Peaceful and loving. And give up that struggle. That makes you, that humbles you down immediately. That brings you back to ground zero, where you actually see the trees, where you actually see each perfume in the perfume world, where you can smell each flower individually, and instead of this, I have these flowers, those are mine and I need to show off. No, you forget that. You go to the flower and you smell on that one flower. And time falls away. Time, like the time in terms of time is money, or, I'm in a rush already. No, you breathe, as Thich Nhat Hanh always said, and you smell on the flower, and you forget about the vanity and whatever, BDD, looking too fat or looking too this or that, or the women that are flat-chested. Smell on the flowers, my goodness. Forget about the neurotic parties and the neurotic, and there are some women out there that are famous, that are flat-chested, and they don't care about it. That would never go under the knife. There are some of those. I've seen them. I don't know exactly. No, I don't want to say names and then get accused of slandering someone. So I'm not going to say any name, because that's also stigmatized already, by society. Then at the same time, the women with the big breasts are looked down on. It's this convoluted mess of neurosis. But then in the background, they're like, the men are lusting, and the women are coveting, and then officially they look down on, and then you whore, but then secretly, you know the whole story, how this goes. I mean, the people are obsessed with boobs, obsessed. It seems like it spirals further and further into a complete delirium. King Henry VIII, around when was that? 1600, 1580. He did not want he had 8 wives or something, or 6 wives, and one of them was sent to him from Germany, and she had naturally big breasts, and he did not find her attractive. He never had sex with her. he literally pushed her off the edge of his bed. So, and she was a virgin, and she didn't even know how sex worked, and she thought they were married, and at some point he started an affair with a girl that was completely flat-chested because she was petite and angelic. That's what they liked doing that. So this whole thing has shifted so enormously to the other side. And why did it shift? There's a reason for it, of course, something made it shift. So its focus points. They were also not obsessed with ass, the real humongously gorgeous. I'm not blaming anyone. I don't even blame people for being drawn into that vortex, because it seems almost, for most people, it seems like this is as real as it gets or something. This is, this in terms of this is the reality or something, that they need to attach themselves to. So, but in 1600, they weren't that. And this also had to do with, there were cultural mix happening, a cultural mix, suddenly, there was much more going on in terms of people visiting other countries, seeing other people, then different genes are attracted to different genes. Yeah, this is biological, this is evolution. Okay. The German guy with the flat booty is, I'm not gonna mention names, but he's gonna be super mega attracted to the super diva with the super rear end. Okay. And yeah, I find them also extremely beautiful. The the women and the men with the super rear ends, I find that extremely beautiful. Okay. And so my butt's sort of like in between. I'm lucky with this, but there's a lot of Germans pretty that are pretty straight lined on the front and on the back. So, and yeah, I know this is probably very difficult for those people. Feels very difficult. Being engulfed in this multi-ethnic world where we get to see the differences between the bodies. Coveting starts to happen on all ends, on all sides of the valley, of course, so for different things, of course, and I find that very unfortunate, because although I understand that curvy is very sexy, in general, for anyone, that is very sexy, but what makes it so incredibly painful for people is when they are constantly bombarded with this kind of stuff. They're living in this world where only that seems to matter. That's the only thing that's like the number one thing on their mind, and for teenagers particularly difficult. So I don't know, maybe I'm not even really in a position, in a sort of authority position to even talk about this, because I'm extremely lucky when it comes to these kind of things. So I like myself, I like my boobs, that are very large, and my body is great, and I like being chubby, I think that's great. And I'm infinitely grateful for having a longer lifespan, and for having a lot of things that are absolutely wonderful, and I'm infinitely grateful for that every single day. So what I'm trying to say with these videos is that you can also be 100% grateful for what you have. Okay, whether you look like this here, that's her boyfriend, or you look like this here, or you look like this. It doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how people look like. Peter Dinklage, he's one of my role models. Peter Peter Dinklage is an animal rights activist. He helps people for the ethical treatment of animals, and he is an actor, and he plays the dwarf in the, what's that, Game of Thrones or something like this. I'm not into these kind of things, so I just I see, I like Peter Dinklage because he's an activist. So then I see what he's doing. I see that on the internet, and I see these movies and all this. I notice that these movies, even if they're sci-fi, the popular sci-fi films always contain fast, furious, violent, and full of war, and seems to be glorified. I don't know if this is perpetuated deliberately to get people to sign up for the military, or I don't know. Or it's just this. I think the media, they have so much responsibility, and they could actually turn this around and bring healthy, wholesome values to the world and propagate that. They could do that. But they don't do this, and I think the reason why they don't do this is because they are not independent. They are attached by strings to this industry, that industry, that industry, that industry, to the military complex, the Navy, the weapon industry, the NRA, the medical industry, the pharmaceutical industry, the plastic surgeons, and the list goes on. And I think that's what's going on. That's what's happening. So they will continue to propagate dependence, religion, war, duality, me versus you, limited, limited and conditional love as they call, which is not love. So they perpetuate this. And people, one guy in LA, a store clerk at night, he told me that he gets his education from movies. He actually said it like that. I was shocked. He doesn't even watch PBS or National Geographic. He doesn't even watch any educational TV or shows. And I was very shocked about this, but I didn't say anything. But I like that guy very much, a sweetheart. I felt sorry for him that he gets his education from movies. But that's exactly what the corporate agenda wants. They want you to get your education and information from Hollywood and from the entertainment world, well, also worldwide, from the corporate entertainment world, because they do their corrupt hand washing. One feeds the other, and so they both benefit in keeping people stupid so that they will continue to run to that industry to get their fixes and so on, and never ask questions, and then having the religion keeping them passive and docile, where they never ask any questions, where they never question anything. And it just keeps on and on and on and on and on and on and on. Gosh, I wished I had more leverage, I would sure throw some alkaline into the acid soup, and see the bubble bath bubble and sizzle up. I see that in chat rooms, but I don't reach very many people in a chat room. I don't know how many people will see my comments, and it just beads off. With most people, it doesn't even get seen, but in some cases, it will sizzle a little bit. That's when the egos get triggered, and then that's the only way when they even at all engage into a conversation. They don't engage into a conversation unless their egos are tickled and they will feel compelled to stand their ground and their religion and da 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 da. I am marching for my football team, basketball team, and religion, and whatever, my chocolate versus vanilla, or I like Ben and Jerry, Cherry Garcia, and I'm going in my Cherry Garcia team against the other, and he said something against my soccer team, and I'm standing up and I am waving my baseball bat and threaten, don't say anything against my religion, or that's how people are. That's the only way we can engage. Then it can go a little bit further, like sort of like a car that's stuck in a mud rut, and you get the wheels only to turn by triggering the car a little bit. So then the wheel steers a little bit in that mud, sprays some mud out, but doesn't really move forward. And that's what it feels like in these conversations. These conversations in chat rooms or on the internet in general, or in Facebook groups. It feels like I do steer something up, but then they can't get out of that rut. So I can't. So in order to get out of that rut, that mental rut, we have to do a meditation first. And you have to get rid of that, what feels so utterly real to you, the world of Hollywood, the peer pressure, the pride, they want respect, they want to be also wanted, and then that ties in with mommy wants me. This is an old feeling. The boobs are, of course, a symbol of nurturing, but then the photo models, they don't want. There was one photo model with very large breasts. She tried to hide it. I saw a documentary on this. She was like skin and bones, that woman. With big breasts, it's a present from Mother Earth, from the infinite cosmos, and she tries to starve that all, and she tries to deny it, tries to hide it, doesn't want it. Some women even have them cut off. That's like That's when they are completely taken over by this. I want to be noble. I am super noble. I'm noble. No. So I'm not making fun of anyone. I'm just saying this is the pain. Yeah. Pay attention to these things, people. I've known so many. Okay. I love all of them. I've seen a woman kill herself. I'm not going to mention where that was. Her father was totally unavailable, a fundamentalist Christian, and she is bombarded by internet, by thin women that are respected, and she wants that respect, and so she starved herself to death. And it was heartbreaking to hear this. I didn't know her very well. I've met her one time, but it is heartbreaking, absolutely heartbreaking. And this one woman with the naturally large breasts, even as she was a skeleton almost, trying on those dresses, they didn't fit because the breasts were still too large for those skeleton dresses that she was, I don't know, who was it? Christian Dior or Calvin Klein. Skeleton dresses that would fit a baby doll or something. So and yeah, and the way she was embarrassed about the breasts, and then the fashion people saying, "Oh, she has large breasts. Oh my God, what a catastrophe!" So and there wasn't any of the there weren't any men in there that were into breasts. So for them, they all had the same mind state. They were all like, they were living in this same sphere, the same mind state sphere of you need to be noble and respected. And that goes completely against biology. So then we have the other people and then we have some people in between that they want to be respected and they want to be thin, but they also want to have boobs and they also want to have butt, and then it becomes really, really self-destructive when they put silicone into themselves, yet they starve or they have bulimia at the same time, and then they wonder why some of them want children. They can't even conceive, not even at age 25 or 30, because of what they're doing to their bodies. I'm just giving some reality checks with this. I see this and I think it's heartbreaking. I feel terrible for all of these people. So I just want I feel I almost turned the video off because I feel like I'm probably gonna be misunderstood and terribly judged for what I'm saying. I'm probably also gonna be terribly judged for liking my body, because most people don't like their bodies. And of course there's always something that when I look at cartoon Babette, or I want that too. But that's not like the number one priority in my life. I want to look like Babette, where you're super inflated and with this slender waist and without any kind of jelly belly. So yeah, but can we be grateful for what we have? Then thousands of years ago, there was this fertility figure that they found. That fertility figure was mega fat, like with a big overhang belly and big fat natural breasts and butt and lots of fat. And that was celebrated. So, and then it shifts, it shifts these kind of things, the beauty thing. It shifts and shifts and shifts. I would not put so much emphasis on this. It doesn't matter, you know. It doesn't matter if you are respected or liked, or if someone looks at you and thinks that you are cool or that you are respectable or whatever, women and men, you know, it doesn't matter. It does not matter. I don't know how to get this across. It feels real because you go back to these abusive people. So they give you their dose of neurosis, and you think that's the world, that's what's real. That's what you feel like you need to listen to, you need to adhere to, their religions, their bullshit, their violence, their jihad, their violent video games, their violent skeleton fashion. That's violence, okay? People need to realize this. They go back to it to get some more abuse. Children that are bullied in schools, they don't even have a choice. They have to go back to these societies where they're being abused. Their lives are in danger. In the Middle East, their lives are in danger too. In the Western world, people seek the abuse. They don't have to seek it. So, but my message goes out to everybody. Okay, if you live in a violent society, whether it is psychologically violent or if it's a political oppression, it's a dictatorship of some sort or religious oppression, I encourage you to still question it and not adhere to it just out of fear or out of fear of being alone. Or I understand that for many of these people out there, this is a matter of life and death. But that's why we need to speak out even more, because we don't want oppressors. We don't want that anymore. We've seen enough of this in history already. Enough is enough. We need to stand up. People, they have this logistics where they go like, I better say nothing, you know, that gets me a little further. Me again. That doesn't get the world further, okay? You say nothing because you want to keep your clientele, your customers, your standing in society. You don't want to, you know, risk your life. You don't want to, you know, for those it's a little bit harder, but still, you know, you don't want to do all this, so you cave into the whore. And you know what? It makes the whore spiral more and more out of control. And that's a reality, okay? So my message to you is you have no choice other than to question all of this. The religions, the oppression, the peer pressure, the violent skeleton fashion. You can say no to this. Okay? You can say no to all of this, particularly if you are in the Western world. Now we see people in the Western world that are not under threat, and they cave into Islam. They want to bring that violent religion to this free world here, or the free worlds in the West, because they would rather keep their friends and be invited to the party, you know, and not be a party pooper, not be called racist or Islamophobe. That's not cool, right? Then no, then you want to be light. You want to wear your aqua di Gio and cave into Islam. No, frickin' no, okay? No. No, we don't want to bring this over here because we are so chicken scared of losing friends or respect or clients or all this egoic, greedy self-image, propagation. So that's why I say, you know, the self has to come to a rest. I'm going to do a meditation with you. Just an anapana. Anapana is breathing. You breathe in all the way and gradually breathe out. Through the mouth. And you make the now moment the now moment. And everything else, time falls away. And you don't need to go to the party. You stay at home and drink chamomile tea instead. And meditate on that. Just for now, just for tonight. What you do tomorrow, it doesn't matter. It's not a problem. Don't